Hey, I'm Vergo and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel we talk about topics like self-realization, self-actualization and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling and self-realized life. So if you're interested in any of these topics, subscribe to the channel right now. So today I'm gonna share a trip report of 500 micrograms of LSD, which is a pretty high dose actually for me. So yeah. How did it come about, my intention for this trip? I read about the work of Stanislav Grof, a psychotherapist, and he was working with LSD in therapy for over 30 years. He was also working with holotropic breathwork, and he did a lot of interesting research and tried to put his insights into a book, or a couple of books, many books actually. And his work is kind of scientific, and he kind of tries to construct a model out of the psychedelic experience or out of experiences with different states of consciousness, so we can understand our experiences better. So, and he was working with pretty high doses, so I was interested to see and to explore the LSD space a little bit further, and so I decided to take 500 micrograms of LSD by my own, just in my bed with an eye mask, and I was constructing a playlist. I was creating a playlist with songs and artists recommended by Grof, so I could like tap into his kind of style of therapy maybe a little bit more. So I was sitting down creating the playlist. I was feeling very good and calm, but I knew in the back of my mind there was something personal, which I'm gonna share later in this video, that was kind of bothering me a little bit, that was present in my life at that time. So I knew that, but I took the journey, took the 500 micrograms, and I was laying down, starting the playlist. And oh man, it was an amazing, intense journey, unbelievable, but also really, really beautiful and emotional. So I was starting the playlist, and the playlist started with this kind of funny drumming music, more like a little bit of faster paced music. So I was while I was waiting for the effects to come on, I was kind of breathing, doing some breathing exercises, which I can really recommend for the beginning of a journey. This is really nice to just like really get into the experience, take the oxygen in, and just like be present to fully relax into the experience. And the effects were coming on, but they were kind of subtle and kind of weird too. I find, especially with the higher doses of psychedelics, it's harder for me to remember what happened in the experience. So like with the middle dose or lower dose experiences, it's easier for me to integrate those experiences because they are kind of easier to remember. And the higher I go with my doses and explorations into those realms, the harder it is for me after the experience to remember the experience and therefore to integrate the experience. So I will try to put as much detail into this trip report as I can remember, but yeah, the higher doses they're fading away so fast. Like even a day after the experience, it almost like seems like a dream kind of experience. So it's really interesting. What I was experiencing, and that was really interesting, is as I was hearing these funny drumming music, I was first of all appreciating music, like appreciating the art of this kind of style of music, which was really interesting. And as the experience started to unfold, I was kind of losing touch with my personal self, kind of. So I was kind of carried away into this infinite ocean of consciousness, and I was kind of feeling or experiencing how it is to be another consciousness. I mean, it's the same consciousness, it's all consciousness, but my personal self was kind of not so important anymore, but my sense of awareness was carried away into other kind of bodies or even other cultures, other personalities. So I was I don't remember the exact personalities, but for example, I was kind of experiencing, like, I was feeling like I was in an African tribe, or I was feeling that I was a mother with 3 children, or something like that, and it was constantly changing. So my consciousness was kind of traveling through cultures and bodies of other people, kind of, which was really interesting, but not really personally touching, you know? So that was kind of going on for a little while, and it didn't kind of stop. And after an hour or 2, which was still kind of with the drumming music, the playlist was like 6 hours. First of all, like more like drumming, then more kind of emotional epic music, and afterwards it ended with like mantras a little bit, and a little bit more of calm meditation music. And I was thinking to myself like, oh man, LSD is kind of a long journey, because I was traveling through this and it was quite intense actually, with my eyes closed, eye mask on, music running, and I was like, oh, this is long. How long is this gonna take to unfold into another direction? So I was putting my eye mask down and I was like, okay, whoa, everything was kind of wavy. I was like, that's enough of that. And I felt kind of good and finished even with the journey. I was like, oh, that was a kind of an interesting experience, but it was only like 2 hours, not even maybe. And I was like, I'm fine, I'm good, let's enjoy the day. So I was really thirsty, so I was going to my kitchen and I had this really nice hazelnut rice milk, unsweetened hazelnut rice milk, one of the best things in this universe. I can really recommend it. It's unbelievably good. So I took my hazelnut rice milk and I wanted to drink something. And that's where it really hit me. So that was where my personal journey began. And I want to share with you, like, authentically and honestly, what was present at this time for me. So I was running a YouTube channel with a good friend of mine, with my best friend. We were doing for like 10 years. It's a German YouTube channel, or even, yeah, it was a journey of different channels that developed over the years, and it really bonded us together, and we were having a lot of fun and a lot of learning experiences growing together with these YouTube channels. And in the last couple of months, years maybe even, and especially weeks, I was thinking about leaving that YouTube channel, but it was such a big part of my life and such a big part of our friendship that it was such a hard decision. So I was like, nah, I can handle it. I can work on that and on all the other different projects that I've got in my life, and I will kind of make it work. But deep down inside, I knew, like, first of all, I don't really want to make it work, and I just have like other priorities and passions at this time in my life. And this decision to kind of tell him to quit, that I was quitting this thing that we were doing together for over 10 years, was a really hard personal choice. And that came up in that exact moment that I was about to drink the hazelnut rice milk. And deep down inside I knew, and that was coming up to the decision, that it was clear that yes, I have to tell him that I don't want to participate in creating on this channel anymore. And it was such a hard choice. It was such a hard choice. And that was the time on the LSD journey that I was just breaking out into crying. And I was crying for that decision, because it was freeing, but also at the same time so sad for me personally that I had to make this decision. because I was feeling this thing was not in alignment anymore. And I have the promise for myself that I want to live in alignment with my highest values and with my gut feeling, with my intuition. And I have to follow that intuition, and I have to communicate that honestly and take action like on my intuitions, and not just like keep it inside and then it's getting bigger and bigger and you're kind of angry and frustrated with yourself. No, living in alignment and living authentically and honestly feels good. It feels blissful and free, and you are happy when you're aligned with your values and with your sense of self. So I was crying so hard. I think actually I never ever in my life cried so hard, so much. But it was a good cry, you know, it was like this relief, it was not a suffering, but more like a crying for this decision, just a crying. And I was crying so loud that my neighbors were kind of like, I don't know what they were thinking. But I was crying so much. And I couldn't stop crying. I just couldn't stop crying. And it felt good. And I was kind of not even being able to breathe properly anymore. I was like, why does it have to be this way? And I was crying like a little child, like a little baby. Yeah, it felt good. And I was like, okay, I have to stop crying right now. I was like, oh, okay, I will allow myself to cry like 10-20 minutes more. And that was going on for an hour maybe or two. So I was crying about this decision and crying and I just couldn't stop. And in the background I was skipping the drumming and the emotional music and kind of going to the spiritual music, and they was playing the song from Me 10, All Is Welcome Here. It's one of my favorite songs, beautiful. And after that there was this song called Soham, Medicine of Truth, from Manesh Demore. And that was really beautiful too. So I was just laying there kind of trying to calm down, and I just couldn't. I was crying like a little baby. So that was going on for quite a while. And then I actually had to consciously stop myself from crying, because I just couldn't stop crying. So I was looking in the mirror. I was like, okay, Virgo, you gotta stop crying right now. And I was crying even more. And then when I was focusing on my eyes, the eyes are the mirror, you know, to infinity, to your true self. And I was looking in my eyes and I was breathing. And then this kind of crying turned into laughter, and I was kind of happy. And then this crying turned into laughter, and it was a relief, and it was like I did it. I stopped crying. I did it. Nice. And then it turned into laughter and into a relief, into a sense of freedom. And that I kind of knew that I now, after this crying and this experience and this clarity, I mustered the courage to have the conversation the next day with my best friend. And I did, which was really good. So it turned into this crying turned into laughter, and that's where, wow, the most beautiful things appeared in my visual field. So everything kind of turned into these rainbow colors of sacred geometry. It was beautiful. It was really, really amazing. Wow. It was astonishing. It was... It's so hard to describe, you cannot believe, but in the higher doses of LSD I get these sacred geometry patterns, and the rainbow colors were amazing too. So everything was kind of full of rainbow colors, and even when I looked into my eyes, there was just like so much detail to the visuals. If you know what I mean. So I looked into my eyes, and in my eyes I saw, like when I was focusing, when I was kind of doing eye gazing in the mirror with myself, I was seeing so much detail of geometry moving in my own eyes. It was beautiful. It was astonishing. Wow. And also everywhere around me, these patterns emerged, and everything was kind of more clear. Before, in the last couple of hours of the experience, it was more kind of fluid and weird kind of, and when I had this kind of release of the crying for hours, everything calmed down and everything turned into the most beautiful and perfect things ever. So that's where I kind of calmed down. No, not yet. I forgot one thing. I was having my you know, the sticks from the singing bowls that you can kind of hit the singing bowls with. It's a really hard stick, you know? And I just couldn't stop like crying, or just like even just this emotional ride. And I was like holding the stick with my hands because I was vibrating and I was kind of so emotional. So I was holding the stick, and then that's where the fun kind of began. I discovered kind of the mechanisms of balance and of my own vibrations. So when I was holding the stick, I was giving pressure to one side, but I couldn't let go of the stick, and it was going to the other direction. Everything is kind of a balance, you know? So I was kind of playing around with that thing a little bit and kind of dancing with it a little bit, because I was feeling something. I was pushing with my right hand, pushing with my left hand, pushing, pulling, and the other hand would just go like flow with it. So that was kind of weird, funny kind of experience. And what else? I was kind of doing weird things with that, but it helped me to like balance, because the stick is good for balance. A hard, good stick, you know, because it doesn't move. It's stable. So, and when I was calming down, breathing, I was having the stick, and all the vibrations were going through my arms. I was like, good, this is good. And when I got the balance, I was laying the stick down, I was sitting down, I was like, whew, wow, okay, amazing, I've got the balance. And even I was at the moment even reading a little Zen phrase, kind of out of a Zen quote book, and it was saying like, I forgot the sentence, but it was saying something about balance and just like perceive everything with humor, but don't forget to keep the balance, or something like that. But it was really funny at the moment. So I got the balance, and even in the background music was running a kind of the Zen sakatsuchi, or what are they called? Like these Zen flutes, Japanese ones. So that was playing in the background, and everything was settling down. And after this release of crying, I felt so much peace. There was just nothing left. Nothing left. So it was just pure silence, pure Zen, just pure being. And I was sitting there, and it felt so peaceful, because there was nothing on my mind anymore. And that was so peaceful. It was so good. So that was the end of this emotional, personal phase of this trip. But the trip was not over yet. Still, stay tuned till the end, because that's where a really interesting thing happened, I guess. So I was sitting down, I was laying there, and I was like, oh, now maybe it's time for a little mapacho tobacco. So I bought this mapacho, pure mapacho tobacco, and I'm smoking it from time to time, not too often, but I like it. And then I was kind of taking one, and I was like, okay, let's try to smoke that, and let's see like how it is. So I was taking a hit of this mapacho, and I really connected with the plant of the tobacco plant. I never really liked to smoke tobacco. I like to smoke weed and other stuff, like the activity of smoking is kind of nice for me, or DMT, changa, but I never really connected with the tobacco. And after this release and this crying and in this state of peace, I was like, this mapacho felt like it was giving me a kind of ease. So now I kind of understand a little more, and I was really appreciating that. So it's really nice. I really like it. Tastes good, it's strong, it's pure, and the spirit of the tobacco kind of really feels good to me at this point. And so I was smoking the tobacco, and everything was just perfect. Everything was perfection itself. And for me, at this point, the trip kind of ended. But the effects of the 500 micrograms of LSD were not over at all. It was just like this contrast of what happened before and of what state I'm in now that was kind of so big. But I was sitting there and everything was perfect. Really, everything was perfect. Everything was kind of set in place. Everything was clean. And when I was smoking the tobacco, and the mapacho kind of came to its end, I was like, or I was smoking and I was like, everything's good, but I don't have an ashtray, because I don't smoke usually in my room. I was like, I don't have an ashtray. And I was sitting there, I was just like finding my balance. I was like, what can I do where can I put the ash of the tobacco? So I didn't put it anywhere. I was kind of putting the mapacho in front of me, and everything was perfect. Everything was calm, everything was nice. And I was like, it's time to go for a walk outside. Because I want to go outside, explore the city and go into nature and just see where the flow takes me. So I was putting on, I was actually like wearing this shirt, wearing these pants, putting on my crystal glasses, which are really nice. Kind of see everything double, triple, quadruple. So I was putting on those and I was going outside for a walk. I was packing all my stuff, fruits, hazelnut rice milk and DMT. That's it. I was going outside and enjoying a really beautiful sunny day. And the first person I met right outside of my door was the police officer. I was feeling so calm and confident in myself. I was like, good morning, barefoot in these clothings with this kind of with these glasses, mapacho tobacco, and on 500 mics and LSD. I was like, have a nice day. And just like with full confidence, I was going about my values. I was kind of talking to myself a little bit of like, I want to promise to myself to follow my highest values of self-understanding, divine love, health, honesty and gratitude to the fullest. Like, not ever lie about anything anymore, not keeping something inside of me, but just like speaking and communicating honestly all the time and just being centered and balanced in myself, which is really important to live a good, healthy, authentic and fulfilling life. So, I was just like enjoying the day. I was like, with everything I was so present. When I was crossing the street, like little things happened. When I was crossing the street, I was like kind of waiting for the cars to stop and just observing the environment in the city, because I never really tripped in the city. I was always kind of more in nature because that resonated more with me. And the vibe of the city is kind of weird. everybody is kind of in its own space, but I saw the oneness in all, you know. I saw that they are part of my consciousness. And I understood phrases like on a deeper level for myself, like the phrase from Jesus, serve others as you wish to be served. The golden rule, you know. And I understood that. And I was just like having all the time in the world, being present and being really calm and peaceful. And then I was kind of exploring the city and everything was perfect. Everything unfolded in perfection itself. So, and I noticed something, we always have to make a decision. Like even simple decisions, it was so present to me because I was so empty of thought that I was just like flowing, going with the flow, and I was only having necessary thoughts. And those necessary thoughts were decisions that I have to make. And it was simple decisions like, do I go left or do I go right? What feels better? This area I explored for a little bit more in the last month and I never went there. So let's go into the unknown to the right. And I was like, should I cross the river or go into the city? I want to cross the river. And I was like crossing the river. I was like, because it seemed like there was more nature over there with the ferry. And everything was perfect. And when I was waiting for the ferry, I was like, now it's time to check my phone. I never checked my phone. It was kind of on airplane mode. So I checked that and it was just a peaceful, beautiful day. But there was something waiting for me on the other side of the river. So I was exploring the other side of the river. I was kind of on the beach. And I don't remember and I cannot really articulate it. And I don't want to like make the video too long. I will come to an end very soon. So I was kind of getting to know myself on a deeper level of like what is important to me, how I behave in this world. I took a little rapé on the river, which was kind of beautiful. And all these little decisions were like good. It's like left or right. Do I sniff my rapé in the water or at the bush? Or just like simple decisions. It's like banana or apple. And everything in our life is just a constant flow of decisions that we have to make. And it's good to connect with our deepest alignment and balance to make these decisions from a place of balance, peace and resonance, that we can follow our bliss. And that's where life unfolds in the most beautiful way. So I was seeing some rocks and I was like, I gotta climb those rocks to have a nice view over the whole city. And I was climbing those rocks, and when I was climbing those rocks it was kind of, still everything was wavy because of the LSD. So I slipped and boom! I hit my big toe and I was like, I didn't even notice it, but a couple of steps later I was like, my toe is bleeding. I was like, well, whatever. I don't have water to clean my toe. Well, whatever. The wind is gonna take care of it. I was perceiving everything in the best possible way, which is kind of my spiritual practice for living a happy life, like just with a sense of humor and with a sense of ease. So it's like the wind will take care of it. So I was sitting on the top of this hill of these stones with my hazelnut rice milk, and I was just like, that's where I kind of reflected upon society and the city and my life, and it's weird. It's a crazy, mysterious place and reality that we are living in, aren't we? It's so astonishing. We kind of take everything for granted. So many people take so much for granted. They take life for granted. And it's such a deep mystery that it's just like a constant... We can be constantly astonished and in awe of this wonder that is all around us and of this mystery that is all around us. So I was like, well, I don't care what anybody thinks, there's only one way. I kind of felt unstoppable. I kind of felt like this perfection, this state of perfection and wholeness that I was in was never gonna end. Well, but it did. It did, because then my toe, I even kind of broke it. Not fully broke it, but I hurt it pretty badly. It was hurting for a couple of days afterwards. And yeah, that's where the state of perfection ended for me. Everything was still in these rainbow crystal colors, and I was just like seeing reflections of Rama all around me, of God, hearing Krishna music, Om Namah Shivaya, and that's where the state of perfection ended. I was having the most perfect time of my life, most beautiful day, and then I wanted to get back home. And I was like, I'm on this hill of rocks with a broken toe and I don't know how to get back. So I called my best friend for help. I was like, help? He was like, oh, I don't really have time. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And I didn't have water. And that's where the trip kind of turned. You're so sensitive on these psychedelics that you gotta be careful, especially when you're outside by yourself. So I was kind of feeling that I was fainting. So I was kind of getting weak and everything was getting weird, and then this kind of negative downward spiral began. I was like, I just want to get home. This is weird. The state of perfection ended and I'm on the other side of the river. I don't know how to get back. I don't have any money. I'm dirty. I don't know. And that's what you have to keep in mind. Just like these experiences are so fluid and so sensitive that it can change in an instant your direction of the trip. So this most beautiful healing trip was kind of turning a little bit over on itself, and I was getting home. I got home safely. I was kind of worried that I cannot get home safely. Why ever? I got home safely, and then I was just like laying the whole night long awake with this hurting toe. I was like, this toe hurts so much, and I couldn't think about I couldn't relax into the experience anymore because all my attention was going to my toe that I hurt so badly. So I was just like riding it out. I was like, okay, I just want to sleep and let my toe heal, but I couldn't sleep because of the pain. So I was just kind of riding it out for the next 4 to 6 hours, laying awake the whole night in my bed with my hurting toe. And that was it. That was the whole experience of my LSD journey. Sorry that I kind of talked for such a long time, but I wanted to report back this personally very important experience and this also interesting experience of these higher dose realms of LSD. So that was it. That was my experience, 500 micrograms of LSD with playlists and ideas from Stanislav Grof and a very personal thing that I went through, a very personally important decision in my life that I thought I was never gonna make. I thought I was never gonna leave that project, that creative heart project, which is connected to my heart and also to my best friend. So that was a thing. Very healing experience, very interesting experience that also kind of turned over on itself at the end. But overall, a very, very beautiful experience. Thank you, medicine. Thank you, life. It's a really beautiful life that we are able to experience. Let's continue to see the reflections of ourselves in everything and explore to kind of understand, enjoy, appreciate and unravel this mystery called reality or life a little bit further. With conscious communication, awareness of ourselves as God, and to see those reflections in everything with love. So yeah, this state of consciousness is such an amazing state, you know. I was so conscious that I was kind of, when I was balancing on those stones, I was kind of hitting a plant or kind of breaking a plant a little bit. I was like, oh, sorry plant, because I saw myself in the flower. I was like, even though the flower kind of looked dead and was not alive anymore, I was like, sorry flower, forgive myself that I kind of touched you and that I kind of broke your arm. Please forgive me. Thank you. and I went on. And then I was doing that with every little thing, like thank you Lighter for being here, thank you Mapacho for being here. Just like every action I took with such a precise present state of consciousness, and I want to integrate that into my life a little bit more. I mean, that's what the work is about the integration in our day-to-day experience. So, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this trip report, please comment down below what you think of it. If you have any experiences with higher dose LSD experiences, comment down below. I would love to hear your stories, maybe a little bit. Give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along with an amazing community of like-minded people to explore the psychedelic space a little bit further, explore how to live an authentic and fulfilling life a little bit further. You can join our Facebook group, follow me on Instagram, Psychedelic Actualization, and donate via PayPal if you feel like it. Ah, what a beautiful day! What a beautiful life! Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you watched this video till the end, even though it was kind of long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you could take some value out of it. And I will see you in the next one. All the love. Blessings. Namaste.